It's a spirit journey, and it's about 6 a.m. in the morning, Sunday. And yes, as you can hear the water, I'm in the shower again. Sometimes when I'm in the shower, I get these thoughts, ideas, and I just want to share it with you guys. Yesterday I was reviewing some of the tapes I'd made earlier while I was in the shower. And, wow, you can't live life the same with this type of information, this new insight about the whole world. The world is not just planet Earth and the sun and the moon. I was looking at my new book I got on astronomy, the Space Hubble, what do you call it? That lens that goes into that takes pictures from to the universe. It is just absolutely beautiful. And it's just really confirming more and more that there's more to life that they say the Bible is all about. The Bible, as I know it, and as I always tell you guys over YouTube, that I was, all of my adult life, I was a Christian. And I used to go to church, pay my tithes and offerings, and I stopped going to church over a year ago. December 2013 was my the last week, the last Sunday of 2013 was my last day at church. And I didn't stop going because of this knowledge, because I didn't know about it. But I was just restless. And I was restless in church for a number of years. I really started getting restless, I think, like in 2007, 2006. I was church hopping, going from church to church. And I think now I know why. That something inside me was saying something doesn't fit here. I was seeing just a lot of inconsistencies, and I didn't feel comfortable with it. And now with this new ideas about creation, that creation I don't think happened, or like Genesis, the Torah, the 5 books of the Bible, I don't think that's how it really happened. Not the way how they want you to think of it. That there's something behind these books. These books, I think, maybe were a part of, personifying creation, But it as itself, like, if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. Things like that. I think that was added in, for fear factor. Everything was based on fear. And exclusivity. That these people, these ancient Hebrews, had to follow their new leader. And why would a creator, if it's a creator, he created all of us. Why exclusivity for one family, the family of Abraham and his descendants? And mostly, focus on the descendants of Jacob. And then the Arab people also come from Abraham, but they have their thing going on, what they call the Middle East. I ask myself, what's really going on? For one thing, what distracts me away from all that distraction in itself is that the world itself, the universe or the cosmos, it is so vast. And I don't think the Bible has to do with, you think about it. Just one little dot, one grain of sand on a beach in comparison to all these things that we see in the universe. And we're the focus of all God's attention, all the Creator's attention. But you notice it says God in the Bible. It never says the Creator. It does say that He was He was the Word. That's in the New Testament. The Word was with God. The Word was God. But okay, I don't know. It doesn't say Creator. It doesn't say that the Word was with the Creator. It says the Word was with God. Are they trying to say that this Word was the Creator? See, that's one thing with words. Words could have different meanings. And what do they mean? We are part of this whole system. Yeah, subatomic particles. And I bet those subatomic particles have particles. And it's infinite. We are part of this particle on what we call planet Earth. And then this is part of another structure, and so on and so on. We're part of a living organism. If I'm alive and have consciousness and energy, maybe everything else does too. But we cannot read their thoughts, so to speak. We don't know how to communicate with each other, or we don't have the apparatus to communicate with one another. So look at our cells in our body. They're communicating right now. Everything's communicating with everything else. They have an expression in the military called the need to know. We may not have the need to know what is being communicated because it's really none of our business. Everything is copacetic. Everything is working in unison. Or tries to. So it's really no need for me to know what this cell is telling another cell in my body. But the common goal is the body, to take care of this vessel. And that's what they're trying to do, take care of the vessel. So we're part of this whole living organism called the universe. It has to be alive. It's just a different form of energy. And as we see, like when I was looking at my astronomy book last night, what the Space Hubble took, it was saying that you have stars that are being born right now. And then you have stars that are dying. So it's life and death also in the universe. You don't see blood pouring out all over the place. But maybe in space it's another form of blood when something dies or whatever. But it's life and death going on constantly. Just like in our bodies. We have cells in our body. The surface layers of our skin, it flakes off. It's dying. And then you have new ones replacing itself. just like the universe. Isn't that amazing? So, I think of these scientists that want you to believe in, that they can maybe develop a formula so that you never die. You can't go against the law of nature. You can't. You can try, but I don't think it's really going to be successful. Maybe the beauty of life is death because it gets recycled. Energy gets recycled. Remember the law of physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed. So in our universe, in neighboring galaxies, you just have things that are switching. You have some things expanding, others are contracting, but it's a balance. It's a shifting of energies. So I don't think scientists will be able to stop the forces, the real forces of nature, this universe. We're probably, people talk about astrology and how the constellations affect our behavior. Further still, the galaxies could affect us as well. These galaxies, we all affect each other. We're not the Lone Ranger. Everything. We influence other things influence us. It has to be in equilibrium. We're part of a body, a whole body of energy. And this body is a creator. God cannot be separate from himself. I mean, we're all manifestations of this one body. So it's not a he, she. These are all part of the, like I mentioned yesterday, that we're in a amnesia. We forget where we come from. And in life, you have people who exploit other people's ignorance. They say, I'm going to exploit that. I'm going to exploit that knowledge of that person doesn't know, or that is in a state of amnesia. I'm going to take advantage. I'm going to say, hey, I know what's going on. Hey, I want you to do this for me. You have to worship me. And remember what I said yesterday, a couple of days ago, I mentioned about the free radicals. And that they're losing radicals, they have free radicals in their body. And that's why they take our energy. So they're taking our energy. And so they have this power supply from us. See, they can escape death also. These beings or interdimensional can escape death also. They probably in their dimension, they have life and death too. Just like in this dimension here, you have life and death. They just might live longer in their dimension. But for life, for the whole system to work, they have to have a life and death thing also. And they might be just in a state of amnesia and in this fear mode, fear of lack, fear of dying. They may not know they're part of the whole universe. They just might have more information, but they're in the dark also. They live in fear. They have to start trusting and submitting to the universe. The universe is a place of equilibrium, is a place of change. And we don't have to take it personal, but we do. We take life personal. So this is just a thought that I had. Take care. Hi again. I had just put the tape recorder on pause as I was in the shower, and I'm turning it back on. I have another thought. Yesterday, Saturday, I was going into the internet looking for images that I can use for a video that I'm doing. And at one point I was looking up houses and cars. And when I was looking at these luxury homes, I mean, it was like, wow. You know, the exterior and interior of the homes. And I said, wow, this is something. The amount of money, and to maintain these homes, again, it's a lot of energy being put into those houses to just maintain it. And remember yesterday I was saying that matter has a wisdom in it, a consciousness, and how it needs to be fed. Well, this is a prime example. These luxury homes, these cars. You know, we all need a place to live, and we need transportation to get to and fro. But these cars and homes I was looking at were bling bling status, to let your neighbors know that you've made it, that you got it going on, you know. And it's just something. What this means to me, when I looked on those images, was that there is always someone with more. Like you have people that might, like Garden City in Long Island. It's in Hempstead, or near Hempstead. That's in Nassau County in New York. And I remember as a child that my parents had drove through that neighborhood once, a couple of times. And there they have like 3-car garages, masses of land in front. They weren't mansions, but they were very large homes, very large. But when I looked at these luxury homes over the internet yesterday, these homes were 10 times the amount. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar estates. Probably CEOs of these Fortune 500 companies own them, or those oil tycoons. But yeah, why I mentioned about Garden City, like that neighborhood, at least back then in the 1980s, these people at nighttime had their property. They have all the lights going on in their house and the curtains open. You see everything. And they do that on purpose because they want you to see everything. But in my neighborhood, my father would have a fit. He'd say, close the blinds, close the blind. You want someone to rip us off? It's a fear thing. We're afraid to lose what we have. But these other neighborhoods, they're cocky in comparison, and they want you to know what they have. And how we compete with each other. We compete. And even amongst the multimillionaires, billionaires, that's with a B, they compete also.
this one, I watched this video on the life of the billionaire and how they try to overdo each other with yachts, mega yachts, and they always try to outdo one another. And then I say to myself, okay, so even in that playing field, so the different playing fields, like I'm in a little playing field, and then you have other echelons and so on and so on. It doesn't stop. It doesn't. They probably, the schools that their kids go to, they compete with who goes to what school. So my point in mentioning this is we need to stop competing with each other. Stop trying to outdo each other. That be satisfied with the portion you have. That not to worship what you have, appreciate what you have, and take care of it because it's your responsibility. But we're not to try to outdo each other, because this again it's a religion, and it's a bondage. As I said in one of my tapes, it's a bondage that we get involved in because of this fear mentality. And we really have to replace that fear with love. That's what David Icke is referring to. I know people might think he's a little out there, but I'm starting to understand what he's saying. That this illusion, we're part of this whole matrix of the multiverse, and we go through life and death cycles. It's a part of life, and to make the road easier for all of us, to be love-based, that is to consider each other's feelings and needs, like you're not going to eat this big meal in front of a starving person and then licking your lips and fingers and putting in their faces and you can't have any. That's not nice. You know what I'm saying? So we have to learn to love one another and to respect each other. So that's including me. So this is what I want to share for now. Take care and peace. Good morning again. It's March 29th, 2015. And, I was just thinking about the Bible and the Judeo-Christian religious doctrine. And I was just thinking about, if the Bible is something that was contrived from what they call the Anunnaki. It was a system, and the Bible itself just may be more of symbolism, and not necessarily a real event that occurred, but it represents something else, a larger concept. You have the first 5 books of the Bible called the Torah. Now, actually, those 5 books are the book of the Anunnaki, or extraterrestrials. But all the other books of the Bible were written by people of the what we call the Middle East. And I'm thinking, okay, so you have so you have different religions. You have the religion of the Anunnaki or the ETs. They have their book to use as a foundation of all your thinking. Like your
your what do you call it, in computer operating system, okay, that everything is supposed to revolve around. But everything else is made by people that, just like you and me. And I'm thinking, okay, so you have two major distinctions now with this book that we call the Bible. And I'm thinking, okay, so how does this work now? Because in my old paradigm under Christianity, that I saw the Bible as one unit. But actually, it's not just one unit. I mean, we put it together as a unit now, but it wasn't always a unit. And so everything outside of the Torah is by people. And I'm thinking, okay, now these people had to live under the Torah. And then you had some of them, like Daniel, Ezekiel, etc., who they call the prophets of the Bible. Now I'm thinking that these people were regular people. These are what they call spiritual people. These are people who weren't really into, the mainstream society. I mean, like, they followed the law, but these were people that were more of observers of society and, saw things that the mainstream weren't paying attention to, They were about consciousness. So these are regular people of their day, but, they're the priests, they're spiritual leaders. These are people that might have lived in the desert. They forsook riches and all that, so they can just study the Word. But they started to become conscious, and even though they're in the system of the Torah, but they still having thoughts, and they're questioning things. Okay? And what was happening to the prophets? That a lot of them, they were being killed off by the mainstream people, the leaders of the day. The what do you call it? The high priest, the council, the religious council there. Isn't that something? So like now, what would it be like if, the Bible in the present environment, okay, 2015, in the United States, what would a religious person and an enlightened person be like now? Could it be like you? Those people who, maybe you lived under Christianity or Judaism or Islam, and you start meditating, you don't go to mainstream places like bars or discos, you eat, good food, organic or natural foods, not processed. You meditate, you listen to soothing music, So you're going to start thinking differently than the so-called mainstream people who are into television and those television shows, what do you call them? Reality shows, they call it. You notice the people who watch things like that, how their mind are? They're interested in the latest this and that. They're very trendy. And, what's going on? So, a spiritual person of today are not going to be part of that mainstream world. They're going to be observers, and they're going to start noticing trends and what's going on in society. And then they're going to speak out. Okay, they might have been raised in religion, whatever, but then they're starting to stand out. They say, hey, I'm not liking this anymore. It's a turnoff. Could some of these
spiritual people be like people like David Icke? You know? Or other people that's in the consciousness movement? You know, on the surface, these people might appear to some mainstream people as out there, you know? But are they really out there? These people can be the most sane people on earth. They're so aware that they might be perceived as being crazy. But they're in their sane mind. In fact, they're more sane than the other people who are just in the dark, and they don't know it. They don't know they're in the dark. Just like I did. I knew something was up, but I didn't understand because I was born in the system, the matrix. And then it was in my early 20s when I was introduced to Christianity. I didn't question anything. But when I attended these things, these churches, just something didn't sit right with me, you know? And then I just finally just said, you know, I had enough. I didn't see the people in church to be any better than the people who don't go to church. I meet people in the church, they watch these graphic stuff and say perverted things to people in the street. And I'm saying, wow, I can't believe this person is acting this way. And this person might have been the one that introduced me to Christianity. I'm starting to question. I thought the act of going to church is what made you spiritual, you know? And that maybe I'm just being a bad person because I'm not going to church anymore. But you know, that's not it. What would a religious person, a real spiritual person be like today? But people who are speaking out. You know, we wear, you know, the same clothes as everybody, you know. But we're not of the system. We're pointing finger at it, say, hey, this is not right. So, what happened in the Bible days to these prophets? As I mentioned earlier, they were killing them off. What would they do today in 2015? They might slander them. They might, book burning. Oh, you cannot teach this philosophy in the colleges or universities. Oh, you lost your tenure. You can't work here anymore. Bye. Things like that. Once you start getting out of the system, that's when the authorities, you know, that control the system, that's when they start to clamp down, you know. So this is just food for thought, and I'm on my spirit journey. So peace to you guys.